Hey guys, YouTube Barber here. Alright, and hope everybody did have a happy Thanksgiving yesterday. Yeah. And now here I am, as I said in my last video, with my retro Survivor Series review for the year before Survivor Series tomorrow. And for this review, this is going to be a review for Survivor Series 1988. Of course, this was just this was just the second Survivor Series in history. yeah, and overall, I would say that this was a pretty solid show overall. I mean, it definitely wasn't as good as the first Survivor Series. I already talked about that like a few years ago. Yeah, it definitely wasn't as great as the first Survivor Series, but yeah, it still was overall a pretty solid show. I mean, there really wasn't anything like bad on the show. Yeah, everything was at least solid, and and all four Survivor Series elimination matches on the show, yeah, they were overall like decent at best, and and there was even one like a pretty great one on the show. So while like I wouldn't really say that this really is like among like the best Survivor Series of all time, yeah, it is still overall a pretty solid show. And while it's not, I wouldn't really say that it really is a must see. Yeah, it is still like a pretty decent Survivor Series. Yeah, the one thing that I will say about this show is that it is kind of like lacking in star power. The main event, especially, I felt was like really lacking in the star power. So the WWF really wasn't at like its strongest point as far as tap like the star power is concerned during this period. But it was still overall, yeah, we still did overall like have a pretty decent show, and and some solid matches through the entire show. So just really don't know what else I can really say about it. But yeah, it was like a solid show. All the matches were solid, and so the show was at least like nice to see, and it is like a nice sort of um show. Like if you have the time to see, like it won't be like a true waste of time, but yeah, it's just not going to be like a truly big like show that will really people will know it's like one of the greatest Survivor Series of all time. So that's really like the best way to really put the show. Not really much else to really say about it. So I guess I'll just like talk about like the matches on the show. All right, of course with this like being an early Survivor Series, like it was all like Survivor Series elimination matches on the show. So the first match was the Ultimate Warrior, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, the Blue Blazer, Sam Houston, and Jim Brunzell versus the Honky Tonk Man, Ron Bass, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Bad News Brown, and Danny Davis. And yeah, this was a pretty decent way to open up the show. I mean, as I was watching this, I really didn't get bored watching it. It really was like a nice way to open up the show. Oh yeah, like all 10 guys really did do pretty well in this match. If all 10 guys really did get tagged in and out throughout the match. And there were eliminations throughout the match. Danny Davis got eliminated early on in the match, and only about like a minute and 18 seconds in, after Brutus Beefcake made him pass out from like a sleeper hold or something. So he was the first one eliminated. And then eventually, Bad News Brown was able to eliminate Jim Brunzell with a ghetto blaster. And then there was this point where Greg Valentine and Bad News Brown were uh double teaming Sam Houston, and then as Greg Valentine was then gonna nail Sam Houston with a running forearm. Sam Houston moved out of the way, and Greg the Hammer Valentine accidentally struck Bad News Brown. Yeah, and yeah, and of course, like Bad News Brown really was like not happy that Greg Valentine struck him. Yeah, then yeah, and then eventually he just ended up walking out of the match and ended up getting counted out. Yeah. Yeah, and there were just like eliminations back and forth through the match. Members of each team ended up getting eliminated. Yeah, and then then eventually both Brutus Beefcake and the Honky Tonk Man ended up getting counted out at the same time. So then the Ultimate Warrior then was in 2-on-1 situation against Ron Bass and Greg Valentine. Yeah, but yeah, the Ultimate Warrior was able to take out both Ron Bass and Greg Valentine. So then the Ultimate Warrior was then and able to win the match, and the Ultimate Warrior was the sole survivor for this match. So this overall was a pretty decent opener right here. A nice way to really like it was a solid back and forth match, and all 10 guys did look pretty good in the match, and plus, it really did serve its purpose because this was still when the Ultimate Warrior really was being groomed. This was still this was first Intercontinental Championship reign, and of course he was really being built during this time with of course the feud with Rick Rude, and then eventually the stuff with Hulk Hogan where he won the WWF title. So this was still when Ultimate Warrior still was being groomed and really being built as the next star of the company. So it really did accomplish its goal for that. So overall it was a pretty decent opener. I would give this probably a 2 3/4. Yeah. And then next up, then we had the 10-on-10 and elimination the Survivor Series elimination match featuring the tag teams. It was Demolition, the uh, Conquistadors, the Brainbusters, the Fabulous Rougeaus, and the Bolsheviks versus the Powers of Pain, the British Bulldogs, the Hart Foundation, the Rockers, and the Young Stallions. And this really was a pretty great match right here. I would definitely say that this was the best match of the show. All the tag teams in this match really did look much nobody really looked truly bad in this match, and this really was probably one of the best matches on pay per view during this time. Yeah, it really was just a pretty awesome match. Like I said, all 10 tag teams in this match did look pretty good here, and like the first match, everybody was being tagged in, and everybody really did get uh some good action in the match. Yeah, and teams just ended up being eliminated throughout the match. The Rougeaus were the first ones eliminated within 5 minutes of the match. Yeah, then and it took another 10 minutes for another team to uh, get eliminated in this match. So they really did do a good job of really making all these teams look strong, and they didn't really get teams just eliminated very quickly, close to each other like that. Yeah, there were actually some good periods where there was a matter of time. There was good periods of time before teams got eliminated through the match. So I did like that they really did really wait a while before having teams get eliminated through the match. And then eventually then the Young Stallions ended up getting eliminated after Boris Zukov hit this reverse diving crossbody on Jim Powers and was able to pin him to eliminate the Young Stallions. And then eventually then the Bolsheviks ended up getting eliminated by Marty Jannetty from a sunset flip. And then there was one moment of the match that was kind of stupid where Bret Hart hit a German suplex on Tully Blanchard, but the referee just saw Bret Hart shoulders were down too and actually counted him down rather than Tully Blanchard. So the Hart Foundation ended up getting eliminated. And yeah, then yeah, and then like as both the Rockers and the Brainbusters were like brawling with each other, like they both teams got disqualified. So yeah, so both of them got eliminated. Yeah, yeah, then yeah, and then eventually then the and like as it was down to Demolition and the Conquistadors against the Powers of Pain and the British Bulldogs. Yeah, they like went at it with each other. Yeah, and there was like 10 minutes before we got another elimination. Yeah, but then then eventually the Dynamite Kid ended up like getting pinned by Smash, eliminating the British Bulldogs. And then. Yeah, then it was down to just the Powers of Pain against Demolition and the Conquistadors. Yeah, and of course, like this is like the big talking point of the match right here. Like at one point, like as Demolition like was in control against Powers of Pain, then like this was like still when Demolition was being managed by Mr. Fuji. Yeah, Mr. Fuji like ended up like getting on the ring apron supposedly to just give Demolition some instruction. Yeah, but then like at one point then Mr. Fuji ended up like holding the ropes open, and it caused a Smash to fall like through the ropes. Then Smash then like couldn't get back in the ring in time and got counted out, and then eliminating Demolition. And then like as uh Axe was like confronting Mr. Fuji. Mr. Fuji was trying to say it was an accident, but yeah, like like uh Demolition and everybody could like see knew that like Mr. Fuji like did it on purpose. And then like as Axe just as he shoved Mr. Fuji, as Axe like just turned around, then like Mr. Fuji then ended up just nailing Axe with his cane. Yeah, and then Demolition then both like ended up like attacking Mr. Fuji and slamming him to the mat. Yeah, and this like ended up like being like a double turn with like a Demolition turning face. Yeah, then like as the Powers of Pain then like started to resume the match, then they like ended up just all of a sudden like coming to Mr. Fuji and tending to him, and then like just brought him over to their corner. So it was a double turn with Demolition turning face while the Powers of Pain turned heel. Yeah, and this marked like when Mr. Fuji then started to manage them. Then Mr. Fuji helped the Powers of Pain win against the Conquistadors. So the Powers of Pain ended up being the survivors. And then afterwards, like Demolition then came back and like just ended up like chasing Powers of Pain away from the ring with Mr. Fuji. So like I said, this really was like a pretty great match right here. Like all 10 teams really did look like really awesome in this match, and it really just did have like some really great action in the match. So if you haven't seen this match before, check it out because just like with all these like awesome teams in the match, like it really is like they really did like do really great of making like all these teams really look great in this match. So if you haven't seen this match before, definitely give it a watch. And plus Mr. Fuji like turning on Demolition and joining up with Powers of Pain is also like a pretty nice moment as well. So I would probably give that match I would give that 4 stars. Really awesome match right there. Yeah. Then the next match was it was Jake the Snake Roberts, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Tito Santana, Kim Patera, and Scott Casey versus Andre the Giant, Dino Bravo, Ravishing Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect, and Harley Race. And overall, this was a pretty solid match as well. It was basically just like a David versus Goliath type of a Survivor Series match. Of course, like Andre's team really looked like very dominant in this match. They really like just really did gain like a big upper hand in this match. It took a little while for an elimination to happen, but eventually Kim Patera ended up getting eliminated. Hated by Rick Rude, Then about like a minute and a half after that, Scott Casey ended up getting eliminated, Yeah, then yeah, and then eventually, then like Jake the Snake Roberts ended up getting into a 4-on-1 situation, like, and yeah, and then he really was a really trying to really battle back, yeah, and of course like Andre, like this was like when Andre was a heel. Like whenever somebody from Andre's team ended up getting eliminated, Andre would just come in and just beat the person down. Yeah, like yeah, just Andre still just being a big uncontrollable monster at this point. Yeah, of course, there was, as usual, there was this one point in the match where Andre ended up getting caught in the ropes. Like seriously, does Andre get stuck in the ropes in every single match he's in? Like it seems like for 99% of Andre's matches, he always ends up getting tied up in the ropes. So yeah, why is that a trademark thing for Andre to constantly get tied up in the ropes like that? Yeah. Yeah, and then yeah, then eventually when Jake the Snake was able to eliminate um Rick Rude, then Andre then just came in and just beat Jake the Snake Roberts down, and eventually Andre ended up getting disqualified from not listening to the referee. Yeah. Then after Andre was disqualified, then Mr. Perfect and Dino Bravo were then just able to easily defeat Jake the Snake Roberts. So yeah, so Mr. Perfect and Dino Bravo were survivors for the match. Yeah. So yeah, so this overall was it was once again a solid match. It wasn't anything groundbreaking or anything, but yeah, this really did contribute into building up the storyline for Andre and Jake, leading to WrestleMania 5. So yeah, so like the Ultimate Warrior match, it did serve its purpose. So yeah, so I guess I would probably give that match 3 stars. Yeah, and then we get the main event. It was the Twin Towers, Akeem and the Big Boss Man, Ted DiBiase, Haku, and the Red Rooster versus the Mega Powers, Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage, Hercules, Koko Ware, and Hillbilly Jim. And yeah, overall, I did like this match. This overall was a enjoyable match. But the problem with this match for me really was just the lack of star power. This is what I was just saying when I started this review. Just seriously, these are the guys that you actually have in the main event match at Survivor Series. You have seriously have Hillbilly Jim, Koko Beware, the Red Rooster. Seriously, these are the guys that you're having in the main event. Like really, yeah, this really did seem to be an issue that the WWF was having. How they weren't really at their biggest for the star power in the company at the time. Now, seriously, why did they have the match be like this with Akeem and the Big Boss Man and co-captains of their team? Couldn't they have just extended the whole Mega Powers and Mega Bucks feud? Have Andre be on this team with Ted DiBiase, them being co-captains as Mega Bucks, and have cut Red Rooster from their team, and just have it be Akeem, the Big Boss Man, and Haku. Like I mean, wouldn't that have been better? Why is the Red Rooster in the main event of Survivor Series? Yeah. And why is Koko Beware in the main event Survivor Series? You really have Koko Beware teaming up with Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage? What's why? Koko Beware was just a jobber. Why are you having him team with the two biggest stars of the company during the time? Seriously, I didn't understand that. Yeah, and even Hillbilly Jim, like you have him main eventing Survivor Series. So yeah, I just felt like this was an example of how the star power wasn't really at its best at the time. Yeah, but yeah, with all that, yeah, this still was overall a pretty enjoyable match, and I did like it. Yeah, like uh, yeah, this did kind of have a similar formula to the Andre Team Andre versus Team Jake match, but like how it seemed like the Mega Powers team really like was at a disadvantage here. The Red Rooster was the first one eliminated by Macho Man, yeah. But then after that, then Hillbilly Jim, Koko Beware, and Hercules got eliminated, hated back to back to back like that. So yeah, um, Hulk Hogan and Macho Man were in a 4-on-2 deficit here, yeah. But yeah, then Macho Man quickly eliminated DiBiase, yeah. Then yeah, then with it being 3-on-2, yeah, Hulk Hogan and a Macho Man really did do pretty good at fight off Big Boss Man Akeem and Haku, yeah. And then yeah, then at one point, then Slick, who was of course managing the Twin Towers at the time, ended up grabbing Miss Elizabeth and then started to pull her away from ringside. Yeah, but then yeah, then Hulk Hogan came to Miss Elizabeth's rescue. But then yeah, then Akeem and Big Boss Man intervened, and yeah, then yeah, they ended up attacking Hulk Hogan, and then the Big Boss Man, who was the legal man in the match, ended up being counted out. Yeah. And yeah, then the Big Boss Man and Akeem then attacked Hulk Hogan and Macho Man. The Big Boss Man ended up handcuffing Hulk Hogan to the rope. Now while then Akeem and the Big Boss Man then, well, really it's more Akeem and Haku we're double teaming Macho Man, yeah. Then yeah, then Akeem ended up being disqualified after he shoved the referee and was illegally double teaming Savage, yeah. So then yeah, then it was just left with a Haku against Hulk Hogan and Macho Man. Yeah. Then yeah. Then with Hulk Hogan still cuffed to the rope, like a Slick was just taunting him. Yeah. But then eventually, then um uh, Haku ended up accidentally kicking Slick, and then Hulk Hogan was able to clothesline Bobby Heenan, who was also at ringside. Yeah, then Miss Elizabeth was then able to get the handcuff key and free Hulk Hogan. Yeah, then yeah, and then Hulk Hogan then was able to get tagged in the match, and then yeah, then Hulk Hogan made quick work of Haku, and then yeah, then was able to hit a big boot and a leg drop on Haku and pin him. So yeah, the Mega Powers were the survivors for the match. Yeah, and then yeah, then as during the celebration with them, then we got another thing, kind of to help build this storyline with Hogan and Savage. With at one point Hulk Hogan was lifting Miss Elizabeth up in the air, and then you just kind of saw a displeased look on Macho Man's face, kind of similar to what did happen at SummerSlam that year as well, with showing a Savage kind of jealous of Hulk Hogan. So yeah, so this was doing more of that to really just build up to their match at WrestleMania 5. Yeah. But yeah, overall, I did like this match. I admittedly wasn't like I said, I didn't really think the teams really were the best. Yeah, and I wasn't really particularly a fan of Hulk Hogan and Savage being in a 4-on-2 deficit in the match. Yeah, but it still overall was an enjoyable match. I did like it. Still, yeah, I just have thought that I have I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue tied here. Yeah, there are just a lot of other better Survivor Series matches. I really did like the Team Hogan versus Team Andre match at the first Survivor Series better than this one. So yeah, so it's not among the best Survivor Series matches of all time, but yeah, it is still overall enjoyable. So yeah, so I guess I would probably give that match a 3.25. Yeah. So overall with the show, I guess I would give it. Oh man, I guess I would give it a 6.5 out of 10. It is a decent show. There's nothing truly bad about this show. Yeah, and it does have a pretty great match with the match involving all the tag teams. Yeah, it is a great match. Yeah, everything else still is solid, but it's just not really anything too memorable. Yeah. So yeah, so not really among the best Survivor Series of all time, but yeah, it is still overall a solid show. And yeah, if you do want to check it out, I don't think it'll be a waste of time to check out. It's just not going to be anything that aside from like the match with the tag teams, that is really like truly memorable, and nothing that really does like truly make it like a contender for one of the best Survivor Series of all time. Yeah, but it is still overall a solid show. So yeah, so all I can really say is just if you're interested, give it a watch and see what you think. All right, so yeah, so I guess that's all I can really say about it. All right, so yeah, so this does it for my review of Survivor Series 1988. So I hope you guys did enjoy this review. Yeah, and with Survivor Series being tomorrow, like I did last year, like they're still having the War Games match at Survivor Series this year. They're having a men's and a women's War Games match like they did last year. So yeah, so I'll probably make a video to give my thoughts on the War Games matches for this year's Survivor Series after the show tomorrow. So yeah, so stay tuned for that video. All right, but yeah, but I hope you guys enjoyed this review. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.